as to why that is. She then breaks down the 3 pillars of a meaningful life are and what we can do to experience them. Emily and I then discuss whether it's really possible to create meaning by yourself and whether or not it requires being embedded in a religious or spiritual tradition. After the show's over, check out the show notes at AOM.
Happiness, people are obsessed with it. The research shows that it's our number one value. It's what people want most in life. It's what people think is the be-all, end-all of life. And that message really bothered me because they go through different stages of development, from pre-developed to developed to what he calls post-developed. They have these shifts in values that occur. So before you reach the stage of being a developed country, to the big cities to find work and to make a new home and a new life. And what's accompanied that has been a rise in individualism. So, a shift in values from community and duty and responsibility.
Because that's, you mentioned earlier, reports of isolation, loneliness are on the rise, despite the fact that we're more connected than ever. What do you think's going on there?
It's a really sad statistic, and easy to criticize social media for exacerbating this problem, but I think there's more to it than that. I mean, certainly people can find a sense of belonging on social media if they're
have to do some grand giant thing like I'm going to change the world, or can it be smaller?
So definitely, I think a lot of people, when they think about purpose, they think of that big capital P purpose that they need to find, their capital C calling. Once they find it, things like the pursuit of happiness is associated with being a taker rather than a giver, and that if you kind of pursue happiness the way that our culture encourages us to do, it can actually make you unhappy. And as a Sufi, the whirling dervishes were Sufis, and living in the meeting house meant that twice a week, Sufis, these spiritual seekers, would come to our home and they would sit on the ground and meditate for several hours, life in other ways. And in spite of the difficulties and the adversities, they found meaning and comfort in this spiritual practice that was pretty demanding of them. And I started to wonder, what is it possible to lead a meaningful life outside of a religious and spiritual context? If you think about, religion, it gives clear answers to the question to, free expression, self-esteem, self-expression. These are things that Roy Baumeister writes about and thinks about, as I'm sure you know. And so I think that this rising, we find meaning, and that question led me to studying philosophy and eventually to studying positive psychology. And this is where I get to the shorter answer to that question, which is the science of positive psychology.
Brett McKay here, and welcome to another edition of the Art of Manliness podcast. In recent years, there's been a lot of books and blogs put out on how to become happier. But what if